morning. Starting the class in a few minutes. Starting the class in a few minutes. I'm trying to notify others. You can go ahead and share the link with your friends. Anyone you know is into trading, share the links with them. Let them join the class. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are connecting from. If you have any question while we wait for others to join the class, just drop it in the comment section. You have any question, you have any pair you want me to analyze, please drop it in the comment section. I appreciate you for joining the class. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section. What pair are you trading today? What pair are you trading today? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear. 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 I was trading yesterday. How was it yesterday? Good morning. Good morning. If you can hear me loud and clear, please confirm if you can hear me loud and clear. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear. If you have any question, drop it in the comment section. If you have any pair you want me to analyze, let me know in the comment section. You all are welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I feel so excited to have you in today's session. You are welcome. Let's behave yourself today. Don't repeat what happened yesterday. If you can hear me, drop a comment, drop your questions. Okay, trading views up now. Okay, so I'm waiting for your questions. Which pair do you want me to analyze? Let me know in the comment section. So let's start by looking at the news calendar. Let's look at the news calendar. Today is 8th July 2025. So today, Australia released its cash rate statement, and They had a press conference today. Okay, so Australian dollar cash rate, the forecast was 3.60 and the actual was 3.85. And okay, the news was released 5:30 a.m. If you were awake, you would notice that Australian dollar pairs became very volatile. There was a spike on Australian dollar pairs at the time, or immediately this news got released. I had a trade on Euro Australian dollar, and I was shocked that in less than 5 minutes, the market hit my TP. My TP got hit in less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes after the news got released, I executed the trade. That was yesterday. Yesterday, I took a sell on Euro Australian dollar, and I was shocked. Immediately the news got released, the markets, my TP got smashed in less than, I think, 5 minutes. I was like, wow, good. So that's all for today. That's all for today. Tomorrow is FOMC, US FOMC. It's tomorrow by 7 p.m. and New Zealand official cash rate will be released by 3 a.m. Nigerian time. 3 a.m. Nigerian time. So you should be careful trading NZD pairs. Okay, be careful trading NZD pairs. You might want to wait for this news to be released before you take a trade on New Zealand pairs. Okay, so let's go to the chart. If you have any question, any pair you want me to analyze, let me know in the comment section. So let's start with the daily time frame. Yesterday, dollar index was bullish yesterday. Many of you took advantage of this move yesterday, made some good profits yesterday buying the dollar. And today, let's see, after the close of yesterday candle, let's see the pattern we had on 4 hour after the close of yesterday candle. Okay, so you can see the pattern we had on 4 hour. You can see the pattern we had on 4 hour. We had what looks like an hanging man. Yeah, hanging man, right? A bearish hanging man, which indicates change in trend from bullish to bearish. Okay, from bullish to bearish. So based on the pattern on daily and 4 hour, my bias for dollar index for today's market is bearish. Okay, it is bearish. Okay, it is bearish. Though my bias for the week is bullish, I want to see dollar index pull back to fill this fair value gap it created here. That's my expectation on dollar index. I want to see it pull back to fill this fair value gap. Okay, if we apply our Fibonacci from this swing low to this swing high, you would agree with me that price is still at a premium area. Okay, let me apply the Fibonacci from this swing low to this swing high. You can see, okay, so price tested equilibrium, and that's the reason for the rejection you're seeing in the market right now. You can see price kept tested the equilibrium level, and there's a rejection from that area. Okay, but I would like to see price pull back to fill this fair value gap before going bullish. Okay, so that's my take for the dollar for today's market. Okay, I am bearish on the dollar today. I am bearish on the dollar, and if this zone, if price breaks this fair value gap successfully, it's likely DXY would come retest this fair value gap. It is likely to come retest this fair value gap. That's my take for the dollar. I am bearish on dollar today. I am bearish on the dollar today. Okay, maybe after FOMC, I could look for buys on the dollar, but for today, I'm looking for sells. Okay, I'm looking out for sells on the dollar. Now, if I want to sell the dollar, let's go down to 1 hour. So on 1 hour, you can see at the open of the market, there was a gap. There was a gap. So if you want to sell, I would suggest you wait for price to pull back to fill this fair value gap. Okay, if you want to sell, this is not the right time to sell. Wait for price to pull back to fill this fair value gap before you sell. That is my take on the dollar. That's my take on the dollar. If there's any pair you want me to analyze, let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see yen basket. Yen basket has been bearish, and I think it's still bearish. Yen basket has been bearish, and I think it is still okay. So yen basket has been bearish, and it is still bearish. That's the reason why JPY pairs are bullish, because the yen it has been weak. It has been weak. So let's start with the weekly so you can see strongly bearish. I did told you guys yesterday we should expect sells on yen because there was a breakout from this resistance. Last week candle closed below this support level after several, attempts. After several attempts, last week candle, even 2 weeks ago, the candle closed below, and also last week candle closed below it after sweeping the liquidity of the previous week. You can see it after sweeping the liquidity of the previous week. You can see that. So dollar yen is bearish at the moment, and I think its next target, like I shared with you guys several weeks ago, there's a high probability to come sweep this liquidity residing at this relative equal lows, and ultimately would come fill this fair value gap. Okay, we have this fair value gap here. We also have one here. So I think that's where yen is heading to. This fair value gap or this fair value gap. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So I am bearish on the yen, bully bearish on the dollar. Okay, so that's it for yen and the dollar. So you should know what to do on currency pairs. You should know which direction to follow. If we're looking for sells on the dollar, it means we're looking for buys on GBP USD. All pairs that have USD as the counter, we're looking for buys, and those that have USD as the base, we are looking for sells. And if JPY is bearish, we're looking for buys on JPY pairs. So let's start by looking at GBP USD. So this is this is GBP USD weekly time frame. Let's see daily. Yesterday was, so you can see yesterday candle was it looks like a spinning bottom. Yeah, it's a spinning bottom, as you can see. It's a spinning bottom, and after the close of yesterday candle, let's see the pattern we had on 4-hour time frame. That's what we had on 4-hour time frame. So on 4-hour, this is what we had on 4-hour time frame. Yeah, this is what we had on 4-hour time frame. And I think this candle, which was the last candle for yesterday, I think it's closed above the high of this last bearish candle. Okay, the high of this bearish candle. That's the reason for my bullish bias for GBP USD. Okay, that's the reason for my bullish bias for GBP USD. So after the formation of this candle, I'm sure a fair value gap was created. I'm sure a fair value gap was created. Okay, so you can see this fair value gap it created here. You can see this fair value gap it created here. Okay, so you can see price just came to fill this fair value gap, I think. So if 1 hour candle closes above this level, I will be considering buying GBP USD. Okay, I will be considering buying GBP USD if 1 hour candle closes above this level, and my first target will be this, I think, relative equal highs. This will be my target. Okay, this will be my target for Euro USD. I think this was the high of yesterday market. This was the high of yesterday market. There was an attempt to sweep this high, but it wasn't achieved yesterday. So my target will be at this level. That would be my first target. 3611, 3645. That's about, let's say, 40 pips. 40 pips. And my stop loss will be a few pips below this level. That is if the 1 hour candle closes above this level. I hope that is clear. So that's my take for GBP USD. Look for buys. Okay, look for buys. That's my take on GBP USD. Let's see what's happening on 15 minutes. Okay. So that's my take on GBP USD. I hope that is clear. Any question, let me know in the comment section. You have any question? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I want to believe you all can hear me loud and clear. Can you hear me? I want to believe you can hear me loud and clear, and you can also see my screen. I'm not seeing your comments. I'm not getting a response from you guys. A few minutes. I just want to confirm something. Okay. Let me know. All right, Mr. Tonda. All right, thank you. Thanks for your response. Thanks for your response. If you have a question, please, any pair want me to analyze, let me know. Let me know in the comment section. I just want to confirm something. Just want to be sure. All right. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. Okay, everything is fine. Okay, so go back to the chat. So let's see gold. Let's see Euro USD. Euro USD. Euro USD. Start with the daily. So yesterday candle closed. It was strongly bearish yesterday. Dollar was bullish yesterday. So it was strongly bullish. Sorry, bearish yesterday. Now let's go down to 4 hour after the close of yesterday candle. What pattern do we have on 4 hour? Let's see 4 hour. So you can see the pattern we had on 4 hour. Looks like an inverted hammer, right? This looks like an inverted hammer. We call this a spinning bottom. Okay, it's a bullish candle indicating change in trend from bearish to bullish. Now after the close of 4 hour, let's see what we had on 1 hour. Okay, so on 1 hour, the market I think is trading above this high. That's the reason for my buyers. So okay, a candle has closed above. The market is currently trading above the high of this candle. That's the reason for my bullish buyers. The market is currently trading above the high of this candle, and you can see why there's a little rejection at this point. The reason for the rejection, I think, is this fair value gap here. Can you see? I think that's the reason for the rejection. This fair value gap is the reason for the rejection. Okay, is the reason for the rejection, and I think price might pull back to this would be a good zone to consider buying Euro USD. This zone, okay, this zone, this fair value gap. Okay, let's go down to 15 minutes time frame. Okay, so this would be a very good zone to look for buys. Okay, this would be a very good zone to look for buys on on Euro USD. If I want to take any risk on Euro USD now, it will be a sell. Okay, it will be a sell to this zone. Okay, it will be a sell to this zone, but I'm more interested in buying Euro USD today. Okay, I'm more interested in buying Euro USD. So if I sell from this zone, from this level, 1747, my stop loss will be at 1765. That's about 18 pips, 18 pips, and my TP will be at this level. That's about 32 pips, 18 pips for 32 pips. That's still a good risk reward. That's still a good risk reward. So if you are considering selling, if you want to risk selling, you can take the sell to this zone, then look for buy. For those of you who want to buy, consider buying from this zone. You don't want to buy from the current market price. You should have bought, this would have been the best entry after the formation of this engulfing candle here. That would have been the right time to buy Euro USD. And if you had bought from this point, you definitely would have exited this trade in good profit. You would have exited this trade in good profit. So if you didn't buy from this point, you had another opportunity. Price pulled back to that same level you should have entered at this point, right? You can see this is where you should have entered here. If you miss this opportunity, price came back again, gave you an opportunity to buy from, you can see very close to this entry. So those who bought from this point and those who bought from this point bought from the same entry level. So you should have bought from this point, okay? And by now you would have made about close to 60 pips on this trade. So if you didn't buy from this point, you shouldn't be buying from this point. Best to wait for a retracement to this zone before you buy. I hope that is clear. That is my take on Euro USD. My bias is buy. I'm patiently waiting for buy on Euro USD. If you want to sell it, like I said, sell to this zone. Your stop loss should be at this high. That's like 18 pips for 30 something pips. If you're okay with that, you can go ahead and take the trade. It's not a bad one. Okay, so that's my take on Euro. But let's see 5 minutes. Okay, so we have a fair value gap on 5 minutes. Okay, so we have this fair value gap here on 5 minutes. The price might want to pull back to fill, but you don't have to wait for it to come fill this. Just set your stop loss at this level, then your TP at this level. Just to ensure you apply proper money management. It's not just about knowing the trend, it's not just about knowing the market risk. You need to apply money management. You're advised not to risk 1 to 2%, 1 to 2% of your account. Unless you are experienced, you can take more risk. But if you're new to trading, you're not that experienced, you should take risk you are comfortable with. I think between 1 to 2%, it's a good risk. Anything above that, it's high risk. You have to be comfortable with the risk before you take the trade. Okay. Which other pair do you want me to analyze? Let's say GBP, JPY. GBP JPY is bearish. Sorry, yen is what? Yen is bearish. Okay, yen is bearish. So GBP JPY is still bullish. But if today's candle closes as a bearish reversal pattern, we could see reversals on GBP JPY. Okay, if today's candle closes as a bearish reversal pattern, you can see liquidity residing at this high. This was last week high, if I'm not wrong. Okay, that liquidity has been swept. So if today's candle closes as a bearish reversal pattern, if it closes as a shooting star, okay, if it closes as a shooting star, then we could look for sales tomorrow on GJ. If today's candle closes as a bearish reversal pattern, so wait for today's candle to close to decide on which direction. But based on what we have on the 4-hour time frame, this is a sell. Okay, this is a sell pattern. This is a sell pattern on 4-hour time frame. So we might see retracement on GBP JPY today. Okay, we might see a little retracement. Okay, so you can see on 1 hour also, you can see the pattern we had here on 1 hour. These are bearish reversal pattern. Okay, so at the moment, GBP JPY is bearish. You can see what played out here. There was a shift in market structure at this point, and price pulled back to fill a fair value gap. I'm sure there was a fair value gap here that was created. A fair value gap was created after the formation of this pattern, and I think that was the reason for this retracement. Let's just confirm. Let's go down to 15 minutes and 5 minutes to confirm that. I'm sure there's a fair value gap that price had to go fill. Let's just confirm that. Okay, so this is 15 minutes, no fair value gap. We'll go down to 5 minutes. There's a reason for this pullback. Okay, so we had this fair value gap here also on 15 minutes. Okay, we had this fair value gap. We had this area of liquidity. Okay, this could also be the reason for the pullback, this high, this previous high. But I'm sure, let's see, there should be a fair value gap above that high. There should be a fair value gap above that high. You can see. Can you see it? Can you see this fair value gap on 5 minutes? You can see that. Go down to 1 minute. I'm sure there's a fair value gap above this. That is the reason for the breakout from this 5 minutes fair value gap. Let's just confirm. Let's just confirm. If you go down to let's go down to one minute time frame, you would see there's a fair value gap. Let's just confirm. Price moves for a reason. For a reason. There is always a reason for price movement. Okay, so let's see. Let's just see 1 minute. This is 25th of 7th July. That was yesterday. Let's see 1 minute. 7th July. Okay. So can you see? Can you see this? Shine your eyes where you will see the fair value gap here. You shine your eyes well, you will see the fair value gap here. There's a tiny fair value gap here. Can you see that? There is a tiny fair value gap at this point. You can see that could be the reason. Let's see. Okay, so let's go to 15 minutes. There's the chart. We're supposed to go up or down. Okay. Can you see that? Can you see? Can you see that was the reason for the pullback and the breakout from the 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 5 minutes fair value gap? Can you see that? Went to fill the fair value gap on 1 minute. It ensured that it filled all the fair value gap on all the time frames. You can see that. And after filling the fair value gap, look at the pattern it gave us. It gave us a shooting star indicating change in trend. So this would have been a very good entry for GBP JPY. This would have been a good entry you had entered sell from this point, we had an hanging man here also. So if you had sold from this point, by now you would have made close to, this is 198.86, 199.26. That's about 45 pips. That's about 45 pips. So GBP is bearish at the moment. It is bearish at the moment, but I would like to I'll wait for today's candle to close. Okay, my decision will be based on the close of today's candle. My decision on GBP will be based on the close of today's candle. I wish I caught this move. I wish I saw this. I would have entered, at least I would have made some profit. But selling from the current market price to me is at a very high risk. Unless price pulls back to this zone, I can consider, taking a sell trade on GBP. But since I've missed this move, I would have to wait for the daily candle to close to decide on which direction to follow on GBP. Go back to 1 hour. On what pair? Which of the pair are you referring to, Mr. Atonda? So this is it on 1 hour. So you can see 1 hour candle closes as a bearish. This is a shooting star after price filled that fair value gap. Can you see that? So it's a sell. It's a sell. It's a sell. But I'll wait for the daily and 4 hour candle. I'll wait for the daily candle to close before deciding on what to do on GJ. So if I want to take a buy, if I want to join this trend, you can see it's most likely going to create a fair value gap here. Okay, it's most likely going to create a fair value gap here. Okay, it's most likely going to create a fair value gap. We have to wait for the current 1 hour candle to close before we can identify this fair value gap, right? So if it creates a fair value gap here, then I would like to see price pull back to fill this fair value gap before going bearish. I would like to see price pull back to fill this fair value gap before going bearish. Okay, so that's my take on GBP JPY. You're considering buying GBP JPY. Personally, I would not advise that you take a buy on GBP JPY. I would not advise. GBP JPY has been bullish for some weeks now, and it's likely going to retrace. It's likely going to retrace. If you are considering buying, then you should wait for price to pull back to a discount area before you buy. So this is the most recent range. Okay. So I personally, if I want to buy GBP JPY, I want to see price pull back to this fair value gap. Okay, you cannot buy from the current market price. I see that as FOMO, fear of missing out. That won't be a wise move or a wise investment to buy. You didn't buy from this point, you didn't buy at this point. Why would you want to buy at this point? Why would you want to buy at that point? I don't see that as a good investment. So it's best to wait, okay, for price to pull back. I'm not saying your analysis is wrong. Long term, it is still bullish. Okay, long term, you're still bullish. I believe you're a day trader and you're not a position trader. Okay, you're not a position trader. As a day trader, what are you seeing now? What are you seeing on the chart? That is what you should do. What is happening on the chart now? Is it bullish or bearish? Trade what you see. Okay, as a day trader. So you can see we have this fair value gap here. We have this fair value gap. So there's a high probability they might come for this low. Okay, so if at all I want to take risk, I want to see that this low has been cleared. If I want to take any risk, because this low is in confluence with this fair value gap. So I think that would be a reasonable area to consider risking buying. You can see that low is in confluence with this fair value gap. So this would be a first zone to consider buying GBP JPY. There's a high probability they are coming to fill this fair value gap. There's a high probability. So before you buy, wait for this gap to be filled before you buy. Okay. Is there any other pair you want me to analyze? Let me know. Is there any other pair you would want me to analyze before? Let's see 15 minutes. Okay, so it's still bearish at the moment. It's still bearish at the moment. Please give the video a thumbs up if you haven't done that. Give it a thumbs up so that others can get to see this video. And if it's your first time joining the live stream, first I want to thank you for joining. I believe you're getting value from the session. Kindly subscribe to the channel so that anytime I come on live, you get notified by YouTube. Do subscribe. Do subscribe. Gold. Okay, yeah, we definitely would look at gold. Definitely. We can't end this session without looking at gold. Gold. Okay, gold. What's happening on gold? Let's see what's happening on gold. I am bearish on gold at the moment. I am bearish on gold at the moment. But let's start with the daily time frame. Let's start with the daily time frame. So you'll be wondering, why am I bearish on gold if my bias for the dollar is bullish? Sorry, if my bias for the dollar today is bearish, why am I selling gold? Right? Why am I selling gold? You know, gold has its own way of its behavior is sometimes different from what currency pairs would do, right? So why am I bearish on gold? So let's start by looking at how yesterday candle closed. It closed bullish. This is an hammer, right? Let's say, yeah, this is an hammer indicating change in trend from bearish to bullish. So after the close of yesterday candle, what pattern do we have on 4 hour? Let's go to 4 hour. So on 4 hour, let's see what we had on 4 hour. So good. So this is what we had on 4 hour. Now let me go back to the daily time frame. Yesterday candle, we had this fair value gap here. We had this fair value gap here, and what they did yesterday was come and fill that fair value gap. And I feel the low of yesterday is an area of liquidity they might come for. I believe there's a fair value gap below this area that has not been filled on 4 hour time frame. You can see this fair value gap on 4 hour time frame. This fair value gap has not been filled. You can see, which is below that level of liquidity I just identified, the low of yesterday. Okay, the low of yesterday, I see that as an area of liquidity. Okay, so there's a high probability they will come for this low. Okay, and also fill this fair value gap. That is the reason I am selling. Even if they don't get to this zone, if they don't get to this zone, there's a high probability they would come fill. Let me go to 1 hour. If they don't get to that zone, there's a high probability they will come fill this fair value gap. Let me use 4 hour. So this fair value gap on 4 hour. Okay, that's the reason for my sell. So this is where I'll be taking some profits on gold. This is where I'll be taking some profit on gold. 13316.44. 3316. I think that's about 100 pips from the current market price. 100 pips. This is where I'm going to take my partials on gold. This is where I'm going to take my partials on gold. Okay, so that's my take on gold. Though for the week, gold is bullish. Gold is bullish, but I want to see gold fill some fair value gaps, sell side FFG, FVG, fair value gaps, and also sweep some liquidity, sell side liquidity. That's my expectation on gold. I hope that is clear. So once price gets to this zone, a bullish reversal pattern forms, I could look for buys on gold. Okay, I could look for buys. Good. So it's the pattern that forms after price tests these levels that will determine if I will buy gold. Okay, also considering, okay, yesterday candle, like I said, is okay. And after the close of yesterday candle, let's see 4 hour. Okay, so this was, I think that was the last candle. Last candle yesterday. I think this was it. This was it. So this morning, what they did this morning, what they did was to sweep the liquidity, right? They swept the liquidity residing at this previous high, which was the high of yesterday before going bearish. Before going bearish. I hope that is clear. That's my take on gold. That's my take on gold. Any question? Is there any pair you want me to analyze? Any question? Is there any pair you want me to analyze? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Any pair? So let's see which other pair. Let's see. Look at GBP JPY. Let's see Euro Australian dollar. I already made money on Euro Australian dollar, so I'm not looking at Euro Australian dollar today. I already sold and I made good profits on Euro Australian dollar. So I'm not looking at Euro Australian dollar today, but let's just see. Okay, so there's still a fair value gap here. I think it might come to fill this fair value gap. Okay, okay, it might come fill this fair value gap. So you would agree with me, selling from this price is not a good, won't be a good risk. Selling from this point to this point. And well, how many pips is that? Just 30 something pips. 30 something pips. The risk is not worth it. The risk is not worth it. To take this trade, my stop loss will be at this point. So let's see the risk here. Let's see 7951, 7989. That's about 37 pips. And I'll be aiming for just how many pips here? Just about 40 pips. That's a very poor risk reward. So if there are no questions, I think that will be all for this session. I appreciate you all for your participation and I wish you all a profitable trading day and ensure you apply proper risk and money management on all your trades. Do not over leverage. Don't try to flip your capital. Most who try to flip their accounts most times blow their capital, they blow their funds. Take it easy on your capital. In this game, slow and steady always win. Slow and steady always win. Ensure you're executing your trading plan. Ensure you have a strategy. Ensure you have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you should develop one or learn from someone who has one. Okay, learn from someone who has one. You can't win in this market if you don't have a strategy. You cannot win. you cannot win. Stop gambling with your hard-earned money. Stop gambling. Learn the right way to trade. Learn the right way to trade. Okay? Stick to one strategy. Be a master of one strategy. Stop jumping from one strategy to another. That is the reason you're struggling in the market. Stick to one strategy. There are several strategies out there. Stick to one. Learn one. Be a master of that one. Okay? Be a master of that one. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. See you in the next class.